Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Otakuology Podcast. I'm your host, Otaku Mike, and with me as always is Jin. What
Your
about
other
the
host.
lesbians' graves?
What?
Today we're talking about Creature Commandos, Episode 5.
Did I miss shit in another anime?
No, that was in the episode.
I think I missed this because I don't remember there being anything about lesbians in this.
So, I have to say, right off the bat, I feel like this is probably the weakest episode out of this season, in my personal opinion. When it comes to like giving me the feels, I feel like.
Okay,
In a
so
sense.
you're gonna laugh at me because I felt like this was one of the better episodes.
Really.
Yeah,
Like, I don't think it was bad. It just, I wasn't as connected with it, I guess you could say.
do you think that's because we kind of double dipped on it being more Frankenstein based?
Probably, yeah.
So my highlights of this episode, and then we'll actually cover it, where Clayface was in this.
Oh yeah, that was a shock.
The shit he turned on the TV was fucking great because I was like, oh shit, I know what that is.
Talk about good marketing.
No shit. And the only other thing I will say that obviously we will get to is I think my favorite character is still the same favorite character that I've had through most of this. He stayed in my top 3, which is Dr. Phosphorus.
Oh, is it because what he does towards the end?
Yes.
Yes.
Well, it's the 2 things he does towards the end.
Oh, yes.
So,
It's.
but let's get into it.
Let's get into this.
So, little recap from last episode. We're told that basically the Creature Commandos have to go back. They are going to have to go take out Ileana.
I guess. We always fuck up
Ilania?
her name. The princess.
Yeah, the blonde.
The blonde.
They got to go back, and so they're kind of under new management, under more so the bride, which I did not see them actually letting that happen.
Yeah, that was really interesting.
I figured that they would have either tried to find somebody else that was a commander person to do it, or like, is it Jennifer Walters? That's not it. Where do I get that from?
Jennifer. Why does Jennifer Walters sound so familiar?
Isn't that She-Hulk?
Isn't that She-Hulk?
Yeah.
You know, I'm saying that, and I have a She-Hulk comic like right in front of my face.
You do. You do. The lady that's over like that whole division.
Oh,
She's
Amanda Waller.
There we go. See, I wasn't that far off.
Yeah, but Amanda Waller's not like. I don't think Amanda Waller's like has any like real combat.
I don't think
history.
so, but I feel like she could have put herself in place of being like somewhere in the country or in the nation and still commanding them through like an earpiece or something.
Yeah, kind of like how she did in the Suicide Squad.
Yeah. Only because Rick Flag got moved out. Right?
Oh, Rick Flag is like MIA basically.
Yeah. So we have kind of this circulation going on with the Creature Commandos. And then we have this other one that is Rick Flag and Frankenstein and what they're trying to figure out.
Yes.
Which both of these storylines kind of are like really fucking weird together.
Yeah.
They almost, I feel like, could have been separated, and we followed one through the whole process and followed the other one through the whole process.
Yeah.
That's not how they did it, but it jumped around a lot. And I think that was another thing that kind of took me out of this episode is we were following Rick and Frankenstein, Creature Commandos, and this Frankenstein backstory.
Yes.
So instead of the 2 that we usually have, we were following 3.
I think that's where it kind of like got taken out of it because I was having a hard time remembering after I watch it. I was like, what the hell did I just watch?
Yeah. Yeah.
type of thing,
So if you'll go with me, I would
Uh-huh.
like us to cover it in parts like that.
Okay, okay.
Okay.
So I guess let's start with
We'll
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 start with Frankenstein and Rick, I guess, because they're the
yeah,
beginning of this.
yeah. Or we can do Frankenstein's past first, whichever
We'll
one
do
seems
Frankenstein and
better.
Rick.
Okay.
Yeah,
So Frankenstein and Rick go to figure out. Um, well, before that, we see this lady that's in a classroom
yeah,
that is telling her students, and their like topic or whatever is the mascara. This is
yes.
what they're learning and everything else. And they are just over the top on, well, what's your favorite part of the mascara? What's the best? Like,
And
really,
this is where
really
she's like,
cringy teacher vibes.
this is where she's like the lesbians.
Okay, okay.
Yeah,
I did hear that. It just didn't click with me that that's okay.
because they were like, oh, I like this, and like some poet, and then she was just like writing on the board, and she's like, well, what about the lesbians?
Okay.
And she's like,
I
yeah,
do
because
know
she's
that
like
part.
seriously like hitting on this girl who's like in front of her.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
And then, but Rick and Frankenstein are outside the window. It's one of those weird classrooms where it's kind of like auditorium seating on one side.
This part was really funny.
Um, and they see him and they're talking about it for like kind of like a recap, short recap from last episode of this is the lady that says that Circe Circe
Circe.
Circe has this latent magical ability to basically see into the future.
She's a slither snake.
So they want to get this doctor to find out if that's true and if her visions is true, so that the princess or Ileana um, doesn't have to be basically killed by the creature commandos.
Yes.
They're already fucking there, so I don't understand really the
This
point of
this
this episode
this
with this
whole
part.
this whole part was really funny though, like with Rick Flag and Frankenstein's like interactions with each other,
Yeah.
because they're very like buddy buddy, but I feel like it's like a reluctant one-sided bromance because
I think so too.
Frank is so into Rick at this moment.
And I'm going to say that's because we have this weird part where he is the hopeless romantic, Frankenstein kind of is.
Yeah.
And then we kind of get like a cut where we jump into other stuff, but then when we come back to him, he actually calls Ileana on, hey, the creature commandos are basically coming to kill you.
Yeah. I
I
love
don't
the
I don't remember if that happened before they got in the car with Alonzi or not. Is that the guy's was that the guy's name
I forget what his name was.
with the cool mustache?
I forget what his
Alexi. That's what it was. Yeah,
Alexi.
yeah.
I can't believe you said Alonzi.
Close enough. I don't care.
Alexi.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I love the little detail where like they're like, oh, for Frankenstein's like, oh, I lost my contact lens. I can't find it. And you see people like running away from him.
Yeah.
He's trying to like distract them from what's actually going on.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we see that Rick is like, okay, we got to go to her house and figure this out. He's like, well, why can't we just kill her? Like, kill her now.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I love the little detail in this, and where we see Frankenstein in the background, and he's drinking like a milkshake or a smoothie,
Yeah.
and he's just he's trying to drink it out of like a crazy straw. I busted out laughing at that part
Yeah.
because he's such a big man drinking a tiny little milkshake.
Yeah. Well, the part that was one of the big ones that made me not like this episode as much in this part of it is also kind of like what we touched on what I didn't like in the last episode, which is where, like I said, Rick calls Ileana,
Mm-hmm.
and Frankenstein gets so upset that he's like, "Hey, tell her that we're buddies. We're the best buddies." And I was taken aback a little bit because I was like, I was like, oh, me and you would do that shit. Like, that's what we would do. And I started enjoying it. And then he started getting angry that Rick didn't say it.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
No.
why didn't you tell her that I was your best friend and da da da
So, yeah, like,
and
well,
so she could tell the bride and I was like,
when
and
we
this is why I hate Frankenstein.
when we get to that part, like, cause like we'll like, so they end up like going to this house where the professor lives,
Were they already
and
in the house when the phone call happened?
I don't know if they're in the house. Maybe he
Okay.
called her again. I know he calls her again, like later on, like in the house.
Okay. Because I thought
Yeah,
he called
he called like a couple times in this episode.
first and the doctor wasn't home, but they were ready because that's why they were upstairs in her bedroom or something.
Yeah, I don't remember. I know he calls like a couple times because he calls when he's at the college campus. I don't think he
Yeah.
gets an answer, and then he calls when they're at the house.
Yeah. Yeah.
But he's like, "Hey, Frank, you stay down here and look. I'll go upstairs." We find out that the professor is dead, but the professor actually does show up.
Yep.
And I love Frankenstein's fascination with walking cats on leashes.
Yes. That was fucking hilarious.
He was like, "It must be a bad omen.
The cat's on a leash.
The cat's on a leash." Uh, But yeah, I know, and he kind of throws a temper when Rick doesn't tell Ileana like they're best friends or whatever. Put in
Yeah.
a good word for her. I don't know why he wanted to put in a good word for her.
Because
Exactly.
he thought that the bride going to see her was going to see Ileana, and that the princess was going to be able to say something to the bride
Oh,
about how uh with Ileana's boyfriend,
okay.
quote air quotations, that Rick Flag is,
Yeah.
that she could put in a good word for him being Frankenstein as their buddies.
But
Um it
I
was just stupid.
I was fun. Like I cracked up. Like you can see like the tonal shift in Frankenstein's personality. Like, and when Rick is like, "Okay, hide because the professor's here now, or the other professor is here,
Yeah.
the fake professor," and he's like, "Okay, I'll hide," and he hides behind like a bird cage. He's like, "No, come on, for real, like behind the bed," and he like kind of like kneels down next to the side of the bed and just flops over.
Yeah.
He's like, "I'm
Yeah.
so done with this shit."
Yeah.
But yeah, and we end up finding out that um, Rick. No, that we haven't finding out that the fake professor is Clayface.
Well, you gotta talk about how it happens.
Oh yeah,
They walk
she.
in,
Yeah,
which I was gonna ask you this because I know that you know more on the subject. But they walk in and Clayface, as the professor, feeds the cat
yeah.
and like cusses the cat out a little bit.
He's like, "Oh, you're stupid."
Yeah, which I couldn't remember if Clayface was afraid of cats or hated cats or something from like old other media. I couldn't remember if that was a thing with it or not.
I don't remember at all.
Um, or
That
if he
that I
was,
that I don't know.
or if he was just taking care of the cat because he killed the professor.
I think he was taking care of the cat because he killed the professor.
Anyway, though, then the professor goes up and turns on an Xbox
Uh-huh.
and sits down to play this video game, and that's when we start seeing as like the features start changing, and she starts losing color and turning like that kind of weird ass brown reddish color that Clayface is, and then we see Clayface sitting there basically playing like was it Tekken?
No, he's playing Mortal Kombat 1.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. Which is owned by the WB,
Yeah.
which owns Creature Commandos.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So huge product placement in that.
Huge product placement.
Which they must have. Do they do anything with Xbox? They must, because the Xbox logo comes on before the
I
game
don't
comes
know. They
on.
probably just product placement as well.
Yeah. Hey, if you guys pay us X number of dollars, we'll throw an Xbox thing.
But yeah, and they have this pretty epic fight.
They did.
And at the end of this, we'll jump to the end. I don't know if Rick Flag is dead or alive at this point.
This is another thing that I have to tell you, and I don't know how your thoughts on it or whatever,
Uh huh.
but I'm just going to tell you. After the third Batman movie,
Uh huh.
when Bane breaks his back,
Yeah.
this whole thing has been in a ton of superhero related content that is the same fucking pose where somebody will grab another hero or
Yeah.
villain and break their back the same way. And it is getting to the point that I feel like almost every superhero related thing I watch has
Well,
it in there. And
I mean, it kind of comes full circle because I mean,
it's it's really starting to piss me off though.
well, the thing is, like, it kind of comes full circle because I mean, Bane breaking Batman's back was in the comic books. It wasn't in the movie originally
Yeah.
at
Well, I
all.
just mean like in general, like
I mean,
it,
yeah, I mean, they could kind of probably like use some symbolism and kind of call
yeah,
back to that. It seems like because I mean, Clayface is a Batman villain.
yeah.
You
Well,
think he?
I don't just mean in this. I mean in all this different media that
I
has
know,
the
but I
same
mean,
thing.
like, I'm just saying he possibly could have known. Hey, Bane broke Batman's back because I'm pretty sure Bane and Clayface. I'm guessing possibly cross paths within this universe. Is what I'm saying.
Oh,
Possibly, maybe.
maybe I don't know.
Because I mean, like Bane was really big on like the Secret Six, which is like another incarnation of the Suicide Squad.
Yeah,
And I don't know if
the
Clayface was ever
Sinister
on.
Six.
No, it's the Secret Six.
Okay, with
Sinister Six is
Ragdoll and
Spider
stuff.
Man.
Okay, with
Yeah,
Ragdoll and stuff.
yeah, with Ragdoll and stuff. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
yeah.
So like, I wonder if maybe like they were on the Suicide Squad together, or maybe Secret Six. You
Who
know,
knows?
so maybe they
Who
knew each other. I
knows?
don't.
I just
Just
I just had to
theorizing.
bring that up because, like I said, like I feel like the last 8 or 10 things that I've watched with superheroes, there's always this moment in it somewhere.
Yeah, I mean it's a very iconic moment.
And it is getting more iconic than like the superhero like slam. Like when they jump somewhere or whatever
Yeah.
and they land. Uh and I don't know. Like I just view that as it's a Bane thing that happened to Batman, and now that everybody's using it, it just kind of like seems like it's not as important for Batman and
Okay,
Bane.
well I don't know who else uses it except for Bane. So
Well, Clayface in this
yeah,
one,
in this, yeah, but I
I'll
mean,
find you some shit.
okay,
It
okay.
happens a lot.
But we can jump back to I guess we'll talk about Frankenstein's past.
Well, we can talk about the fight, the end of the fight.
Oh yeah, we think that I thought Rick Flag almost he might be dead.
Yeah. But where Clayface was basically like, I don't know if he was kind of drowning him in his
I think he
putty,
was like trying to suffocate him.
but he was doing it to Frankenstein,
Yeah, and
and then Frankenstein starts going.
yeah,
And I really thought, and this was, it would have been, well, 10 times better for me. But where he went and he grabbed the Xbox or whatever and he like shoved it down, I thought Clayface was going to stop to move it out of the way
oh
and like try and protect it because that's what he was playing. He
yeah,
didn't do that, but that's when
no,
he started trying to suffocate him more. And then obviously Frankenstein breaks free a little more and grabs some of the electricity or
yeah.
wires out of the wall. And then he gets the weirdest O face because he electrocutes himself like,
Like,
oh.
oh, I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Oh.
And at the same time, basically like fries enough of Clayface to make him like
Yeah,
just fall
did he blow up?
fall apart. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he just kind of like fell off like if you had cracked open like armor or like an egg and it just fell, either
And
side.
then
Like,
he was like, he picks up Rick Flag's like lifeless body.
yeah.
And you think Rick is like, like get me to a hospital, basically, and the Frankenstein's like, did you mention any good things to the bride about me?
Yeah.
In anything at all that I should know about? And like Rick just like fucking passes out, and that's where I'm kind of worried. Is Rick Flag dead at this point?
Yeah. Which like you were talking about in the last episode, he can't be dead, right? Because he's supposed to be the villain
Well,
in.
that I don't know if it's 100% confirmed, but I always heard that Rick Flag is like the antagonist in the new in Peacemaker season 2.
Yeah, yeah,
Because that would make sense because Peacemaker killed Rick Flag Jr.,
right, right.
and that kind of haunted him all throughout season 1 of for
Yeah,
Peacemaker.
yeah.
But yeah, yeah, I mean, it's interesting to think about. But we'll have to finish the season to find out if he lives or dies, I guess.
Live.
But we transition back to uh,
Frankenstein's past.
we jump back to Frankenstein's past, and we get a little recap of like Frankenstein killing his creator and the bride fighting Frankenstein, and we see Frankenstein jump out the window and he's on fire, and he kind of like goes down the river, floats. He gets saved by this blind woman, which
Uh,
she nurses him back to health.
yeah, she does.
And he's kind of ungrateful. I kind of wonder if she kind of had a thing for him at points.
I was really confused if it was like a son or grandchild relationship
Yeah,
or if it was like borderline companionship romantic,
yeah.
like on her part.
Because he stays there for a while and he like hunts a turkey and stuff, and they kind of bond a little bit. And then like he's like, I gotta go away and find my bride.
Yeah.
And she's like, "Oh no, no, don't go away!" And she starts crying and bawling, and he ends up like locking the dog out of the house. And he's like, "Oh, don't worry, like I'm not gonna leave you like all alone." And he like fucking kills her.
Well, and the only part that you're leaving out is where she was trying to like fill where he was since she's blind,
Yeah,
and he kept walking around picking up different objects that we don't know what he's doing per se until it happens,
yeah,
where he was trying to find a good enough object that wasn't a vase or wasn't a potted plant or anything else like that, but like a still pot that he knew he could bust her head in with.
yeah. And he
And
basically busts her
that was
head in and like
crazy.
leaves
Yeah.
with the dog.
Takes the dog with him and
Takes the
everything.
dog with him. And I was like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah.
Like you think maybe?
Which really makes me think whenever like the first episode where we saw him on the boat,
Uh huh.
when he left the boat, I wonder if he killed everybody on the boat.
Oh, yeah.
Because it really seems like whenever he leaves somewhere, no matter what it is, he finds a reason to kill everybody.
Because he did kill all the people in the helicopter too.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, interesting.
So I think it's when he knows, or if he gets an ounce of love or judgment, because, and I only say that because when they were on the college, like you said, he tried to distract people,
Yeah,
and he wasn't thinking of the fact of, well, is this based on my love life or is this somebody judging me?
yeah.
So like, as far as we know, he didn't do anything to anybody on the campus.
No, not that we know of.
But like I said, I feel like if that's anything that happened on the boat, because some of those girls had to get to know him or something, or people that were on the boat, like there had to be a reason why he was on there.
Do you think he gave him that Franken D?
Probably gave him that Franken D before he Franken D'd him to death. So who knows?
But yeah, so we get that interesting flashback, which like that one didn't make me feel anything for Frankenstein, to be honest. Because half the time Frankenstein was kind of a dick to the old lady.
Yeah, yeah.
But we move back from that to
but I will say we did get one pivotal moment of where he had the mindset that he had to see the bride physically.
Yeah.
And the old lady taught him that you can close your eyes and visualize it, and you don't actually have to see it in person to know that it's beautiful.
Yeah.
So I really also think that a lot of it, that when he sees her, it's because he doesn't know her anymore, and that he views her as being beautiful only in his mind's eye.
That's
Kind
interesting
of
to think about. Yeah.
kind of like if like visually you see like a girl that's a supermodel and you go, oh, she's so beautiful, and in your mind you think she's way better than what she is,
Yeah.
and then she treats people like trash and you go, oh, well, the illusion's broken. That's kind
Yeah.
of what I
Yeah.
feel
Yeah.
like he's doing.
No, I could totally see that. I know that's a good analogy.
Yeah.
But we transition from that to the Commandos at Plavakistan. They're getting off, and they're like, "Oh, where? Well, like Alexi's like, oh, what are you doing back here? Like, what's going on?" And they're like, "Oh, we have different like new mission because there's a new threat to the princess, basically." And Lexi gets him in the car, and he's driving him around, and he's taking him a different route away from the castle. And they're like, "Hey, what's going on? What are you doing? You're taking us away from the castle." And Alexi's like, "Oh, it's a different route. It's a top secret route. It's faster this way." And they're like, they're looking at each other, and they're like, "Is this guy for real? Like, does he think we're stupid?"
Yeah. Yeah.
And he stops, and Dr. Phosphorus starts yelling at him. He's like, "Oh, I'm like, fucking move, Alexi! Like, we want you to go." And he's like, "Oh, it was just something's wrong with the car. I don't know what it is." And this is where all the army shows up,
Yeah.
and Dr. Phosphorus puts his hand through the seat and fucking like punches Alexi's head clean off.
Yeah. Just
Explodes.
sizzles it. Just
Sizzles it. And then he's like, "What? Like, I mean, come on." And this is where we get the fight. A pretty awesome fight with some of the commandos. Weasel and Nina kind of run off and hide. But mostly it's with the bride and Dr. Phosphorus.
yeah.
They're very much outnumbered, outgunned. They all get separated at this time.
Oh, but there's some cool shit.
Oh
Like,
no, there's some fucking cool shit.
and this is one of the weird times I feel like we've seen where there's a military that looks like a
Mm-hmm.
regular set of military, like what we would know in real
Yeah,
life. And then we have the crown guards that are all in like basically Iron Man suits.
yeah, yeah. Which
Um,
we
and then
see.
the cool thing I liked out of that part was where the bride basically like ripped off
Oh
different
yeah,
people's arms and stuff, and then she put both of the things on like gauntlets and started firing away with
yeah.
them.
Because
Just
she ends up like running out of bullets, but she kills a lot of people,
yeah,
and she has on like the gauntlet laser things, and she's like killing people left and right. And then we get probably the best scene in this episode,
I think that
which
I think this is the best scene out of everything.
where we see this tank, and Dr. Phosphorus is like down an alleyway, and he kind of walks up, and he like takes off his shirt, and then he takes off his pants, and he's like, "Come on, like bring it." He makes that gesture of bringing it.
He's just standing there butt
He's just
naked.
he's just butt naked, and so like he like kind of powers up a little bit and like yells, and he like gives him the finger like I'm doing
the
now.
the double finger.
Nobody can see it, but I'm giving the double finger. Um, and he just like melts through the tank.
Yeah,
And then like
melts his silhouette through the tank.
yeah, and then his hands go through the people driving the tank.
Yep, yep.
It was so funny. It was so funny. I love that part.
Hands down, I think best scene.
And we are left with the creature commandos basically alone by themselves, hiding. I believe Nina's like hiding in like a abandoned building, and we see Alana, and she's like, we're gonna get the creature commandos basically,
Yeah.
and then
Weasel ran off.
yeah,
Um, we're not 100% sure where the bride is because we didn't see her again.
From what I gathered, she was looking for Phosphorus and like Nina.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
she was
And
walking down like
then
an alleyway.
Phosphorus hid in a trash can
Yeah,
or a dumpster.
which he's kind of hard to hide because he's green and glowy.
No shit. Like I thought it was fucking hilarious. He climbs out of the dumpster and like, oh, like I'm gonna be incognito, and it's like you are a flaming green skeleton.
Yeah, yeah.
Where the fuck are you gonna hide at?
But at least he can like wear clothes and like kind of disguise himself a little bit,
That's true.
you
That's true.
know.
I
But yeah.
I watched up to the title sequence of the next episode just to see if anything would do more for this episode in
Uh
the
huh.
next one.
Doesn't it? Is it
And
like a straight flashback to Doctor Phosphorus?
it does. It jumps back to him before anything happens to him.
Yeah.
Which I mean, we'll cover that the next episode. But the one thing that I did like out of that was Dr. Phosphorus as himself as he's walking, and he whistles the like the opening song,
Oh,
the beginning
really?
of it, and it cuts into the title sequence of da 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 da, or whatever. And I thought that was pretty cool. So I'm gonna wait, but I'm amped to watch that episode.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. I mean, I'm excited too.
But and you'll have to tell me because I'm pretty sure it's either the Falcones or what's the guys that start with a C, like the other crime family.
There's the Fratellis, I think. Not the no, the Fratellis. That's the Goonies. Um, what were their names? There's the what are they called?
Isn't it the Fratones? And then there's something with a C that were in Gotham, like the Capanellis, maybe.
I don't remember what their names are. I know there's the. I don't remember a lot of like the crime families in Gotham.
Okay,
Yeah.
I think it's one of those two. But
On here it
yeah,
says mob boss Rupert Thorne. Does that
okay,
sound
then no.
familiar?
That's probably who it is. But I thought it was going to be one of the other families, like we would know. Because the series has been doing really good about throwing these little Easter eggs out.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I mean,
that either or all kind of see it, all know, or something like that. So I was kind of wondering if this was like the Falcones or something like that.
yeah, I don't remember. I'm never really good with like the gangs of Gotham because Doctor Phosphorus is a Batman villain.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, he is a Batman villain. His first appearance was like Detective Comics, whatever.
See, with
I was
this,
watching a video for a friend of mine who does YouTube as well. His name's 22 Comics,
yeah,
and he did like underrated Batman villains. And
and Phosphorus is on there.
Phosphorus was on there.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
but Doctor Phosphorus had like one of the most expensive comics, I think, which was like $60 or $70.
Oh shit!
Yeah,
You're like, after watching the Creature Commandos, it's gonna be one of my grills. Okay, I gotta find it.
yeah. But he looks kind of nothing like Doctor Phosphorus. Like he has like crazy like hair, I think.
Yeah, yeah.
So like, but he looks like a glowing skeleton, basically.
Okay,
But yeah,
let's
no,
see.
I'm really interested to see where things are going to go, especially with Doctor Phosphorus not really knowing anything about Phosphorus
Yeah.
other than like he fought Batman. That's all I know.
See, I
Uh,
didn't even know that.
yeah, that's the only thing I know is like he fought Batman. And he's from Gotham, I think. Um, but I'm really interested to see where things go from here, what actually is the master plan for Ileana.
Yes.
Like, because we haven't really gotten anything. Like, did she orchestrate all of this just to get Circe out of the way? You know?
Yeah, that's true.
And why
That
would
is
Amanda
true.
Waller like fall for this trap? Kind of like I don't want to say it's like a trap, but like trickery, I guess.
I have no clue. I mean, there's a lot of questions I feel like we probably won't get answers for.
I think we'll get
Like,
answers probably like the last episode.
well, I don't think we will. I mean, not on some stuff, like, uh, like who exactly like paid off Clayface? Is
Yeah.
Clayface there? Was he there for like Ileana, or was he there paid off by Circe and the boys?
Yeah.
To basically say, hey, yeah, she's got this power. So is her power a lie or is it not?
Yeah. I'm
Um,
going to say it's probably not a lie.
if it happened, was it something that Ileana did to kill the doctor off so nobody could ask the doctor that and Clayface would be in waiting?
And where the hell is Grodd? You
That's
think, yeah.
true.
Where's Grodd? Well, we saw Grodd in the last episode. Why hasn't he shown up yet?
That is true. I mean, and I kind of wonder if we really will see him again
Yeah.
or if he was only in that flashback.
Oh.
And will we see any other villains? Um, I would think that we would probably see at least a few other notable villains, maybe not in the next episode, but probably in the final battle, like she would call in reinforcements.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Knowing that, yes, she's got this army of basically Iron Men, but they're not really anything. They're just kind of like advanced fodder, I would say.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see like where this goes. But what
Yeah.
did you think of this episode?
Um, I enjoyed it. It lost a lot of points. It gained a lot of points. Um, just like with the phosphorus thing, with both the things that phosphorus did, I thought were fucking great.
Yeah, they were pretty funny.
With kind of like the ruse of it's Clayface, I really enjoyed that because not only was that was a villain that we actually know. I mean, it's a big Batman villain.
Yeah.
And for like having the tables turn and be like, oh well, it's Clayface, being like, what the shit? Like, where did
Yeah,
that
because
come from?
it kind of just comes out of nowhere.
Yeah, yeah. I
Eh,
mean, I would say it's almost as big as the shock of like we're having that whole thing where what's her face, where Ileana is like winning the future, and I don't know where you see Grodd, and you're like, I know who the fuck that is.
Yeah, and then to come to find out, like Rick Flag knew who Clayface was.
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, we have a lot of different stuff like that. The this part of the backstory, I have to say, I feel like I enjoyed more, but I feel like it could have also been wrapped up pretty with the bride story,
Yeah,
maybe doing both of them at once, or like a continuation of that episode.
like a back to back episode, kind of.
Yeah, either a back to back, or if we had gotten it where it was all in the same episode, just like a full, like maybe like the main story that we're watching, maybe didn't take up as much space in that episode, and we got both of these backstories back to back almost,
Yeah,
for the bride and Frankenstein, and I think that would have been better, because now I feel like it's been so long, and just stuff like that. I think it kind of took it out. Not only that, but points for killing an old lady. I mean, come on, what a dick.
yeah. No, I mean, I did enjoy this episode.
Yeah,
I did enjoy it, but it was probably my least favorite out of all the episodes we watched so far. I
yeah,
just didn't feel like an emotional connection with like
yeah,
in this one.
yeah,
It was mostly for the backstory. Like I didn't care about Frankenstein's backstory,
yeah,
but I was more interested in like what was going on in the present day versus like the past.
yeah. Well, and I think also, and I'm going to strongly weigh it on last episode, for Weasel, that when we got all this stuff of them talking about that and Frankenstein came in on the helicopter, the part that I hated about him basically being this big man baby,
Yeah,
and
he was
and
kind of a man baby.
this one fucking solidifies it. So I really feel like if this one would have been placed before that one, somehow I would have enjoyed this episode a lot more, because the whole time watching this episode, like when it happened, I wasn't surprised.
I kind of feel like Frankenstein has gone from man baby, and in this episode, he's like a teenage man baby.
Yeah, I
Like,
mean, I feel like every time we do anything, he just keeps getting
but
worse.
there are moments where he's actually really funny, though. Like
Yeah, but I feel like you could put anybody in that
when
place.
he bounces off a Rick Flag, like a serious straight, like funny straight man kind of thing. I feel like we got
Yeah,
going on.
yeah, yeah.
But I mean, I just have to say, Phosphorus and Nina have to step up their game when it comes to backstories because Weasels was sad,
Fucking tragic.
fucking tragic.
I'm really hoping that Phosphorus isn't tragic in the same way. Like,
Yeah,
obviously, that all the backstories are really fucking tragic. But I feel like Phosphorus is probably going to be more tragic in and of itself to himself.
yeah,
Not
most definitely.
not Weasel was tragic because it focused on kids and trying to be the hero and not being able to do that, obviously because of the police in that episode. GI Robot was basically like finding a family, doing all this, and that you still realize that you're in bed with the enemy basically because he
Yeah,
was with the Nazis. And so I'm kind of waiting to see the rest of it. So of course we have this weird ass love story between Frankenstein and the bride that is
one
a
sided love story.
yeah, definitely one-sided. So Phosphorus I feel like is either going to be it's going to be focused wholly on himself and something that he has kind of created himself and how he's come out of it because of how cool he is just in general. And then, of course, when we get Nina's backstory, I think it's going to be tragic in the fact of it's like that she's the odd girl out that everybody bullied in school.
Yeah, something like that.
So, stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah. I'm interested to see like where this is gonna go. I'm excited to see where it's gonna go.
Yeah.
I would rate this episode like a 4 out of 5, though.
I'm going to agree with you. I would make this a 4 just because of all the different stuff. Like, if none of the things that I liked in this happen, I would honestly probably drop it down to like a 3.
Yeah,
But there were just so many like cool little things that happened, like Clayface, and obviously the fight at the end, and I mean I do have to give props to the Frankenstein fight with Clayface, and some other stuff like that. I think it bumped it up to a 4 for me. So
yeah. But let us know what you guys think of this episode. You can hit us up on Instagram or any podcast platforms under Otakuology. Leave us a comment, review. Helps people
let
find the
us
podcast.
let us know if you agree with any of our theories,
Yes, let us know.
or
Uh,
if you have your own theory. Comment and let us know because maybe it'll get brought up in the show.
but we'll catch you guys on the next episode.
Yep. See you next Tuesday.